Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Read TFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Crossing the Bridge, written by TheRealFedral. 1. Bailey dove forward and managed to grab the stick from under Sakaru's paw. The golden retriever took off with a bench in his mouth, the cheetah chasing close behind. Sure, there were sticks everywhere, along with balls and squeaky toys. But this was always more fun to take something from someone else. He tore across the brilliant green grass before something caught his attention. Across the broad meadow, dogs, cats, and an amazing assortment of other animals were frozen, staring in the same direction. A young boy was running towards them at a breakneck pace that only a young child could maintain. The great guardian of the bridge watched in amusement as the youngster ran past him. The child's worn sneakers were pounding down the beautiful, multicolored bridge as he headed unerringly to his target, a shaggy dog of indeterminate breed. The dog, Max by name, ran straight to the boy, and they crashed together in a tangle of arms and paws. Their combined laughter and barks of joy carried across the field. Seeing that this one wasn't for them, most of the dogs looked on with wagging tails and smiles, while the cats pretended indifference, twitching their tails in disappointment. Bailey watched as the two played an extended game of fetch, as Max guided his human towards the gate that led to heaven. He gave a sigh and glanced at the bridge, hoping beyond hope that his beloved Kelly would be coming soon. He saw in the distance Max and his human enter the golden gate. In a flash, Sakura snatched the stick from Bailey's mouth and sprinted away. Bailey took a last look at the bridge before running after the swift cheetah. 2. Although he didn't need sleep in this place, Bailey loved to lie in a sunbeam and nap on the soft, warm grass. His cat friends Mittens and Ginger were snuggled up against his belly when the strange thing happened. Crying from the bridge. But all knew that there was supposed to be no crying in this place, only the joy of reunion. Bailey came to his feet, watching a huge mass of people coming down the bridge all at once. The guardian seemed stunned and was forced off the bridge to make room for all the people coming at once. The gathered animals were confused, and there was as many whines and yells of grief as there were of joy as the pairs met with their loved ones. Bailey looked with concern at Ginger, who looked back and said, "This many are not supposed to come at once. Something very bad must have happened. Too many humans dying at once." Bailey nodded as they watched their friend Mittens being rocked by his human, and heard the man saying, "They came from the skies, Mitt. They killed so many people. I don't know where Laurie is. I don't know where she is," he cried, as Mittens purred and gently rubbed his forehead against the human's face. The sticks and the toys laid on the grass, ignored as massive animals waited near the bridge for their loved ones. The stream of humans coming turned into a river, and finally a flood, as more and more of them came. Bailey watched the guardian, his huge golden mane twitching in agitation, observing the never-ending flood of humanity crossing the bridge, crying in pain, anger, and loss. Bailey startled as Sakura sat down next to him, body pressed against his, giving some comfort to both dogs. They kept watching, looking for their humans amid the masses. Sakura looked at him and whined, "We should be down there with them. They are alone. And they need us." Bailey looked at him, tears in his soft eyes. "But how? We're dead. There is nothing we can do. All we can do is wait for them to come to us." 3. Sakura heard the sounding of the horns first, but it was Bailey who saw the pair coming from the heavenly gates towards the bridge. All the dogs started to whine, and their voices cried out, "She comes! The Queen comes!" A human woman dressed in deerskins was walking alongside her. She looked like a massive wolf, but all the dogs knew her the first. She walked with her human to the end of the bridge and looked up at the guardian, and a voice of infinite weariness. "I'm going back. The humans are in need. The Guardian moved between her and the bridge and shook his head sadly. Not possible. Once crossed, there is no way back. His voice growled out, I'm going back, because I must. They never needed us this much before. Without us, they may all die. Then the bridge. All of this is gone. The Guardian nodded. Even if you are able to go back, you certainly will not be able to return. She looked at the Guardian. I was the first to join the humans. I was the one that forged the pack. When I died birthing my first litter, I thought my children would be dead soon after. But she, looking at the human beside her, she raised my pups beside her own children. My legacy, my line continues because of her. Now her descendants and mine call out for help. And you expect me not to answer that call. She hunched her shoulders and her hackles raised. Mankind calls for us, Guardian. So you'll move out of the way, and you'll do it now, or I will kill you where you stand. The Guardian laughed. I would not dare stop the mother of dogs. If you need me, I'll be resting in that sunbeam. The huge creature moved to the side and curled up in a large patch of sunlight. The huge wolf-slash-dog looked into Beatty's eyes. Will you join me, grandson? Beatty sunk to the ground and gave a whine. But I'm supposed to wait here for Kelly. I'm supposed to meet her here. The Queen looked at him and asked, What would you do for your human? He whined back, Anything, anything. She nodded and looked over her shoulder to the sea of animals. Any who would give up all your tomorrows to help save the humans. Follow me. The human river parted as a huge wolf, a golden retriever, and an Akita sprinted down the bridge, followed by a sea of creatures that loved humans more than their infinite afterlife. Epilogue. Dmitry Pavlenko fired his AK-74 at the advancing Kregan warrior, watching in frustration as his bullets deflected off its shielding. I was about to overrun what was left of his squad when it started flailing wildly, and its shield snapped off. He fired again and shredded the massive alien. He didn't see the ghostly ferret worming its way out of the Kregan power pack after having chewed the wires to shreds. Later, Dmitry sat in the trench, calmly stroking his beloved Ivan, who had died years before. The ghostly ferret curled around his hand, and although he knew this couldn't be real, he didn't care anymore. Siegfried Frischbacher scavenged through the remains of the supermarket, trying to find enough food for the refugees living at his home. He knew he was too old for this, but the others were too frightened to leave the house. He'd gathered a huge backpack of cans and bottles well preserved in dry Vegas air, and exited outside. He felt his stomach drop as he saw a Kregan troop carrier, and a dozen warriors waiting for him, and he shook his head. I'm sorry, children. I tried. The lead warrior started to raise his weapon when a huge, luminous tiger smashed into him from behind. The other warriors fired, but the beams passed through the big cat. A moment later, the tiger's teeth crunched into the neck of the alien, killing it instantly. The troops scrambled aboard their carrier for a moment before a pack of tigers and lions followed them on board. Siegfried ignored the alien's screams, and he walked home, escorted by a pack of his loved ones. Kelly Anderson was hungry and cold, so cold, she huddled, sleeping fitfully in the ruins of a cabin, waiting to freeze to death. She woke with a feeling of something warm and furry nestled against her. The dog pressed against her looked so much like a dear baby, it hurt. When he looked up at her and licked her nose, her heart almost broke. She froze as a huge black wolf entered the cabin. It looked at her, then dropped the carcass of a sheep on the ground. Kelly thought this must be a dream, as she was sure the wolf smiled at her. The Kregan commander screamed in rage as he looked down at Earth from his command ship. How are all my troops dying? These damned humans should not be winning. Fine, prepare the Armageddon torpedoes. If we cannot have this planet, no one will. He heard a strange laugh behind him and turned in fury. Who is He saw dozens of strange creatures that all let off a laughing cackle before they opened their massive jaws and attacked. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank our T5 Patreon and channel members, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.